The larger my collection gets, the more I want to curate it. I suppose it's a natural process of all things. You discover an interest or a hobby and you go all in on it. And then you learn, improve, refine, you make it yours, and you cut out the noise and you fight through the influence. Collecting games is the same way, especially if you play them, which I quickly learned in my first pivot was only to buy the games that I actually want to play. But even those interests changed over time, and today we have a box of PS1, PS4, and PS5 games that I no longer want to have in my collection. Some of them I've beaten, some were just total garbage and I quit them, and some I just won't play at all since my interests have changed, and others are duplicates that I picked up for better copies or, I quote unquote upgraded to the Redbox PlayStation Hits version since I collect those specifically. Well, here's a look at what I'm trading in today. On the PS1, it's a bunch of wrestling games. Why? I don't hate wrestling games, but when I sat down to play one of these last year, I thought, what am I doing? I don't even watch wrestling. I don't know some of these wrestlers, and I don't like these older feeling controls. Why am I keeping these games? And I made a decision to only keep wrestling games from the PS3 or newer. So the following are going to be leaving the collection. We have WWF SmackDown, SmackDown 2 Know Your Role, WCW/NWO Thunder, WCW Nitro, and Driver 2 for good measure. And then we have some PS4 titles here. There's Fast and Furious, and it's total garbage. I think I made it to the third mission when I decided to abandon this game. And of course, there's some games that I did play and I beat, but I just don't want to play them again, like Werewolf Apocalypse or Monkey King or Zombieland. And there's a half dozen games that I have no interest in playing here, like 7 Days to Die, Terraria, and Citadel. They're all survival crafting games, and I barely like survival games, and I don't like crafting games. Kong is just a bad game all around, and They Always Run and Unsighted are side-scrolling action Metroidvania games, which are also genres that I've learned that I don't like or need. I'm just not interested in playing them. Though to be fair, I did pick up Unsighted fully with the intentions of selling it or trading it. The Witcher, Until Dawn, and Dying Light, those are just all dupes that I have PlayStation Hits versions of, so I don't feel like I need these original versions. No hate on these whatsoever, I just don't need the duplicates. And then on the PS5, I have games like Zorro, El Paso, Charon, and Yonder that I beat, and I just don't care to play them again. They didn't really do it for me. They're not bad enough to abandon, but they weren't really special enough for me to really keep in my collection for my tastes. And the last few PS5 titles are just, they're games I'm not going to play. Though, to be fair, I did try them and abandon them. Like in Nightmare and the two Spirit of the North games. I actually feel bad about not finishing Spirit of the North because it should be a title that I actually do like, but there's something about the implementation that just didn't do it for me. So in all, there's about $380 in value here, and I have tried to sell these, so they're just leftovers that weren't wanted by anyone, and I have no interest in sitting on titles to try and maximize every dollar and wait 2 years to make $20 when I could take them and trade them in today. They just take up space and they're not liquid enough for me. So I'm going to take these to my favorite game store and trade them in for store credit, and then hopefully pick up some games that I actually do want to play. Alright, so I'm back now and recording after the trip, and that was a great trip, guys. I still have about $8 in credit with the store that I took them to, so even better. And I picked up a lot of fun titles that I want to try out that better match my tastes. They gave me $225 in credit, which I'm thrilled with. Again, don't comment that they took me for a ride or that I got robbed. Market value is what someone is willing to pay. And because no one was willing to pay more than $225, it's not like I had $380 sitting there, right? Like, I had a potential $380, but I had an actual $225 when I traded them in. So let's take a look at what I traded for. I will start with the original PlayStation games first, and let's take a look at Loaded. I'm not sure why, but this was undervalued in the store, and it's in great condition. They only had $20 on it, and Loaded is a top-down shooter, which is a genre that I've only recently discovered that I really enjoy after playing the Ascent on PS4. Like most PS1 game pickups though, I'm a lot pickier on what I want to play on this aging system. I try mostly RPGs or fighting games, some platformers, but occasionally I'll try something that I feel should perform well and hasn't changed a ton in the last 30 years. So what do you think? Are top-down shooters essentially the same as they've always been? Ever since back in the day, the Atari 600, 2600? Let me know your thoughts. The second game is Wild Arms 2, and I picked this up for $45. Not a steal of a deal, but it's not a title that I see too often, especially with the manual and in this good a condition. You'll likely not find a complete copy for under $50, so I really had no issue paying the right here, right now tax for this game. I don't have the first Wild Arms game, and I usually don't like to pick up the second game in a series first, but the store owner was talking with me, and he said that the stories are completely independent. They have different characters, they're set in different worlds, so in this case I guess it's fine. It's a JRPG, and like I've said, that's a genre that I always feel is totally safe to play on older hardware. It's pretty hard to mess up the controls on something like that. I really think the number one reason I don't like certain games, especially older ones, is entirely because of the controls and the inability to remap those controls, because that's a shame, but I'm excited to play this and have Wild Arms 2 in the collection. The final PS1 title is Star Trek Invasion, and I'm a real sucker for licensed games, especially Star Trek. I haven't played them all, but this one apparently ditches the diplomacy aspects of Star Trek for dogfights, and that's just something you usually only see in, say, X-Wing and the TIE Fighter games. Now here's the final selling point for me. When I asked the store owner if he'd played it, he said he had not, but he knew of it and said what X-Wing and TIE Fighter are for space flight sims, Invasion is for space arcade fighters. And that just sold it for me. I don't know what that means, but it sure sounds like it's perfect. And for $10, why not take a chance? Let's take a look at the PS4 next, and start with Blue Reflection. This is a title that I have wanted to try for a long time. I've seen videos on this, but I've never found this in person anywhere. And a lot of people say this is going to be a gem or a gem status someday, if it's not there already, as it's received mediocre reviews, but those that really enjoy it really seem to enjoy it. It's not too long of a game either, so I'd like to crack this one open sooner than later. And when checking out the owner, he let me know that there's a sequel too, but they've never gotten it in before, but I heard it's much better than the first. I mean, if it were there that day, I'd probably have picked it up too. This isn't the kind of game that I only got because I had store credit there. I probably would have picked this up regardless at $40. And here's the thing with niche titles like this that I find. $40 is a lot for a used PS4 game right now, when you can find PS4 games for $10, but it goes for more than that usually in other places. For example, on eBay, it's over $60 for a copy of this. And I find when stores have these niche games, they're usually way lower than eBay, where everyone thinks that they have something special there. The store wants to turn over inventory faster, and they're often going to have these niche titles priced a little bit lower to move them and make room for things like Call of Duty and Mario. That's their bread and butter that everyone wants. Keep your eye out at local stores for these kind of titles that they're not common, but they're not really grails either. It's the perfect type of game to shop for there. And I'm just curious, have you ever played the Blue Reflection games, either one of them, and what do you think of them? Next is a series that I'm kinda hesitant to play, But at the same time, I really want to play, and that's Disgaea 1 Complete on the PS4. When I was in college, my friend was playing Disgaea on the PS2, and I was absolutely amazed with the moves. Super flashy, way over the top, but all I could think of was how much I hated Final Fantasy Tactics at the time. I just did not like that game. It didn't resonate with me at all. Tactical RPGs in general. Fast forward 20 years and I've grown to appreciate these, and I vowed to give Disgaea a chance. I found this copy of the original remaster on the PS4 for $25, and another person on the store looked at my stack of games I was picking up. He's like, oh wow, someone's about to go down an awesome rabbit hole. And I thought, are you talking to me? And he said, yeah, Disgaea, that's amazing. And I asked if he's played them, and I told him no, I'd only watched a friend, and he told me, I'm starting with the best one to dip into, Disgaea 1 Complete. So yeah, I'm kind of hesitant to start this, as it was historically a genre that I didn't appreciate. I feel like it's going to suck me in, and what if I actually enjoy it? I've shunned most tactical games my entire life, so this could be bad. Here we have Captain Tsubasa. It's a soccer game, and remember how I said the Star Trek game was an arcade space flight game? Well, Captain Tsubasa is an arcade soccer game, and I love arcade sports titles. They were so much fun. NBA Jam TE was my go-to game as a kid. My brother and I, we played that constantly together. Do you remember Mega Man Soccer? My friend Jimmy and I would play that like crazy. That's another one. That's a great arcade sports title. But with Captain Tsubasa, I understand it also has some RPG elements, to which I will assume is where I can level up or maybe improve my certain stats in some way. I mean, would you wear different jerseys to give you different abilities or something? I don't know how that would work. This seemed right up my alley for $10, so it was a title that I would regularly see a couple of years ago at GameStop, but I just haven't seen it recently. The final PS4 game that I picked up is what many people might consider a really bad game. But I played it on PS Plus, and I really enjoyed it. And that's WWE 2K Battlegrounds. Again, a very arcadey game. I like that it didn't take itself too seriously, and for $7, it's right about where it should be. It's the kind of game that I'll likely keep installed, and I'll play it as a palate cleanser throughout the year between larger RPG sessions. A lot of different wrestlers are in this, and a lot of different modes, a fairly fun campaign. I don't know what I disliked about it, other than maybe it's not what people wanted from 2K. I mean, I liked it, other people might have disliked it for that. But as a person that drops in and out of this kind of title, I'm pretty happy to have it. Let's end with a couple of PS2 titles. The first here is Area 51. I can vaguely remember playing this on the PC, most likely through a cracked key, and I also owned it on the Xbox last year before I sold it at a flea market, and I remember the person that bought it was so excited to find this, and I asked, what is special about this? I didn't have an Xbox to play it, so I wasn't really sure. And he said it's a fast-paced shooter, and it was typical of the time, but there was something about it that was done right and super memorable to him. And he told me that I had to find this on the PS2 and play it, even if I didn't have an Xbox, and I guess that stuck with me because here we are. I probably wouldn't have picked it up without the store credit though, but when I got home and I put it into GameEye, I was amazed to see that it was so undervalued too. So I guess I made out pretty well with it for $22. And the final game that I traded for is X-Men Next Dimension. This is a 3D fighter that's similar to games like Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance or maybe the Budokai Tenkaichi series. Both of those games I loved, and I was aware of this game ahead of time, so when I saw it, I just immediately scooped it up. I originally thought I might be overpaying for this one at $19, but it was actually right in line with other sources. This just happened to be a super clean copy, so I was definitely okay with paying that condition tax on this. And given I'd made so many other well-priced decisions, I guess I didn't think it was much of a problem. I'm looking forward to playing this one as much as any of my superhero-based games, but I I hear the campaign is kind of clunky. What are your thoughts on the trade? And having about $8 left over for my next trade. I really enjoy these videos, but obviously I can't do a ton of them. I don't exactly have endless amounts of inventory for trade, and it's mostly in this off season that I will do it, because I'm preparing for yard sales and flea markets in the spring and the summer, where I'm going to have new inventory for lots of lots, I guess, that I'll inevitably find. So I hope you found this fun, and thank you for joining me on Let's Build a Collection.